What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with the RK Outpost, and we are just a few days away from the release of Black Widow, which a lot of people are going to be looking at as an indicator for the direction that Marvel's headed in Phase 4. Not only because of what's actually in the movie itself, the content of the movie, but also what happens at the box office. This is going to be the first MCU release in a post-COVID world, and people are going to be looking at those numbers. Is it going to be a massive disappointment? Is it going to be a big letdown? Could it be the first Marvel quote-unquote flop? I guess people will find out. But one person who's saying they're not interested in any way, shape, or form, ironically enough, is a former Marvel actor. Take a look at the headline from Bounding Into Comics. Blade star Stephen Dorff says Marvel's Black Widow looks like garbage, claims he feels embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson. So before we even go any further as to what Stephen Dorff actually said, let's remind everyone that Blade, despite popular narrative out there in the media, Blade did exist. Blade was a Marvel superhero. Blade was a black Marvel superhero that was on the screen well before 2016's Black Panther, even though people like to pretend, including Kevin Feige and the entire MCU cast, that that was the first time it ever happened. But he rips Black Widow for looking like trash and says he's embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson. According to the man himself, Blade star Stephen Dorff is not impressed with what he's seen of Disney's Black Widow, as the actor recently asserted the upcoming entry into the MCU looks like garbage, so much so that its production made him feel embarrassed for the film's star Scarlett Johansson. Dorff, who can also consider himself the Marvel actor thanks to his portrayal of the villain Deacon Frost in the 1998 film adaptation of Blade, expressed his unabashed opinion on Black Widow while speaking to his personal career philosophy during a recent interview with The Independent, telling the staff reporter Adam White, "I still hunt out the good shit because I don't want to be in Black Widow." It's interesting to hear someone in Hollywood saying this. Now, full disclosure, I've had contact with a couple people who have seen Black Widow. They've described to me the entire movie. I'm not going to spoil it on here because I don't know technically if we're allowed to yet. So we'll hold off on that a little bit. But it is very clear that we were talking about the MCU and about Phase 4 and what their plans are for this, pushing identity politics, whether they're gender swapping heroes, gender swapping villains, all of these things. Everything we talked about is coming to fruition when it comes to Black Widow. And the MCU has been king for quite some time, including with Endgame. I think it's safe to say that with what we've seen from the Disney Plus series, what we're about to see with Black Widow, that is going to come to an end. Now, it might be a slow death, but what they have planned is not good if you were a fan of the MCU or if you're looking to get into it, because it's just all coming down in flames, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like garbage to me, added Dorff. It looks like a bad video game. I'm embarrassed for those people. He also expressed specific embarrassment on behalf of Johansson, who portrays the film's Russian super spy, exclaiming, "I'm embarrassed for Scarlett. I'm sure she got paid $5-7 million bucks, but I'm embarrassed for her." And when we look at the things that Scarlett Johansson has been saying to these different things in these different interviews, I think Scarlett Johansson may be one of the reasons that this is happening. I heard an interview with her where she said, you know, they wanted to take it maybe a James Bond route, kind of a super spy thriller, and I think that's what a lot of people would have wanted to see. I think a lot of people would have been down with that, to be quite honest with you, but she said she made sure that didn't happen. She also said she's also been bashing her previous appearances in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Scarlett Johansson criticizes Black Widow's sexualized portrayal in Iron Man 2. And of course, one of the entire points of her role in that movie was the fact that she was a spy. She was undercover. She used her sexuality to get close to Tony Stark. And then when she revealed who she actually was, she was a badass. She blew everybody away. She was better than a lot of these other people. She was a better fighter than any of these other people. So the fact that 10 years later, you want to come back and try to rewrite history about how you felt portraying that, I think is absolutely ridiculous. And it's helped by the media. Black Widow began as a sexist stereotype. More than a decade later, Scarlett Johansson is reclaiming her story. So she's been a part of this as well. I think she's a part of the reason that she looks like this in the MCU, where she has been completely desexualized. And this is going to be completely a story about female empowerment over everything else, about taking down a Harvey Weinstein-esque bad guy in the name of femininity. Yeah, can't wait for that. That really seems like it's made for me, doesn't it? That's the MCU now. I don't want to be in those movies, he continued. I really don't. I'll find that kid director that's going to be the next Kubrick, and I'll act for him instead. He also took a swing at the Oscars and Hollywood in general, saying, "This year's Oscars were the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. My business is becoming a big game show. You have actors that don't have a clue what they're doing. You have filmmakers that don't have a clue what they're doing. We're all in these little boxes on these streamers. TV, film, it's all one big clusterfuck of content now." So Stephen Dorff, former Marvel actor, obviously a long time ago, slaying Hollywood, slaying the state of the film industry, and saying he feels embarrassed for anyone that's a part of the MCU or that has to be in these movies. And it's tough to really disagree with him too much on this. Everyone's going to see exactly what this movie is about, how bad it is, what they do to certain heroes and to certain villains. And I think there's going to be a lot of outrage about it, to be quite honest with you. I think the box office is going to be very, very disappointing for Marvel, but we'll all have to see in a couple days. It will reveal itself. What do you think about this? What do you think about Stephen Dorff coming out and just bashing this fucking movie, saying he's embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson? Let me know in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.